Hello, and welcome to Night Errant.
Yeah, thank you for tuning in, I would say.
You might.
Yeah, this is the show where we have a few drinks, smoke some cigarettes, and talk about stuff.
Yeah, specifically in this case, Primaris Marines.
Yes. I have mixed feelings about those guys. First of all, let me make it perfectly clear. I love them on the tabletop. I think they feel more like Space Marines.
And you mean this both in the visual sense and the actual gameplay sense, right?
Especially in the gameplay sense. They feel badass. Their guns are powerful. They are tough as nails.
Yeah.
And when you melee them, they're like, yeah, sure, we can do this.
Unless you're the Lightbringer.
But
yeah.
Compared to regular Space Marines,
completely.
Lore-wise, I'm still not completely sold. Now, after listening to Dark Imperium, I actually like them a bit less.
I'll be honest. I haven't listened to much lore that has happened since the Dark Imperium happened. I will, however, say that lore-wise, I find it kind of silly that Balthasar's call
made that many Marines 10,000 years ago.
And then just went around having a hidden laugh about how he could save the Imperium, but didn't.
Yeah.
Waiting for Robert Gilliman to show up. I mean, it's ridiculous in many ways, I feel. However, tabletop-wise, I think they look more like Space Marines than actual Space Marines. I mean, they're true-scale Space Marines.
Yeah, exactly. That's also what I really like about them. A thing that I also the models, the Mark 10 armor, it fits better with my image of a Space Marine. They seem more agile. They seem like they could actually go into combat without being crushed under the weight of their own shoulder pads and helmet.
That's true. I also feel like when you see them, you're intimidated. Like my Necron warriors
are actually smaller. Guardsmen are smaller.
Yeah, and they look imposing. Their guns, even the regular bolt rifles, feel imposing. Like they're actually mini rockets shooting out and killing you instead of the regular bolter, which is just like,
oh, it's only boulders.
It's only boulders, right? And everything about them. But that's the thing. They feel like.
And then Hellblasters. I mean, now that gives you the feeling of the might of the Emperor striking down upon the enemies of mankind.
Yeah. They absolutely do. I get that.
Devastators never did that for me.
No. Now, from a scener's point of view, it feels a little weird that, like, but that's always been a dichotomy in the lore. Like, what feels most badass, a Space Marine or a Necron warrior?
Yeah.
With Primaris Marines, that question is answered.
Yeah.
Like, it's the Marines, the Primaris Marines. And of course, it feels a little weird, but I like it actually. But I've also always been lore-wise a kind of Imperium guy, so I get that Space Marines should be special. They should feel special, and they shouldn't be 10-man squads. They should be 5-man squads mostly, and they should be.
They're super elite dudes.
They're super elite dudes. There should be nothing more elite than a Space Marine.
And that's one of the things in Dark Imperium that I didn't like. The author keeps referring to the old kind of Space Marines, and they are super downplayed in that.
Yeah.
And that is actually also a bit how it feels on the tabletop.
It is.
I mean, when I make a Space Marine list now, I do it because armor. I mean tanks.
Tanks, yeah.
I do it for the tanks. And I can't get myself to mix the two. Because I think it looks super silly. Primaris and regular Marines mixed in a list just looks stupid to me. It's either one or the other.
Yeah.
And that is the big frustration, actually. I have tons. I have Dark Angels for days, weeks, months, years that I haven't painted.
Yeah, but...
And I have zero motivation
No.
to get going with them. Even though I think they're super cool models. I think they're super cool. But Primaris Marines are just closer to how I imagine a Space Marine should act on the tabletop.
Yeah.
So why would I spend a lot of time painting up something else?
I get that.
I mean, from a money perspective, Games Workshop really won the lottery, because now I want to go and make my army a Primaris army, obviously.
Yeah, and that's... I mean, the way I feel about Primaris Marines, and this is just a feeling, it's not based in lore, it's not based in in tabletop facts. The way I feel about Primaris Space Marines is that they should be the new guard. They might have a wound more, but they should, I think, maybe if I should represent it tabletop wise, they should have ballistic skill 4 and the others should have ballistic skill 5, or like...
they should have had a 4+, while the other had a 3+.
They're not as experienced. They're not these individual heroes. No. They are...
It is briefly mentioned in Dark Imperium that they lack combat experience, but it doesn't show in any of the combat scenes.
No. That's what I think. I think there should be some way of representing that they lack combat experience. Maybe a lower leadership, actually. Would be the right way to experience that. Symbolize that. Except...
It's also explained that these 10,000 years where they've been in stasis, they've been running hardcore training protocols in their brains. So they are 10,000 years experienced from a tactical point of view-ish.
And that's where, as a Necron player, I get a bit annoyed, because if you want 10,000 years of combat experience, play Necrons.
Or Chaos Space Marines.
Actually... They only have a few hundred years, some of them.
Yeah, some of them, but if you play Death Guard, for instance.
But most of them have been in the Eye of Terror most of the time, where time passes differently, and it's only been like 1,000 years.
Or it might have been even more.
It might have been even more.
It might, but most of the ones I've experienced...
One of the points of the veterans of the Long War is there are 10,000-year-old Chaos Space Marines out there.
There are, of course.
Fighting the good fight. But that's besides the point.
Yeah.
I was about to say... Oh, yeah. One thing that annoys me, if I were to go all Primaris...
Yeah.
First of all, lore-wise, the Dark Angels are not an all Primaris chapter.
Really
they
not.
only have some Primaris reinforcements to their existing companies.
Yeah.
And that would make it... And I am a law guy. I said that in plenty of Knight Errants. I like my army to be representing the official law. And also, they don't have a lot of choices. I mean, I don't have a lot of Primaris yet, but I'm pretty well-rounded. There are a few units I don't have. And the only tank is the Repulsor.
Yeah, which we've just had a look at, and it's ridiculous.
I don't like the Repulsor. It's ugly, I think. And it has so many gun options that I wouldn't want to assemble it.
Nope.
Because how do I choose what to equip it with?
It has between 8 and 11 guns, and... all of those are, most of those are somehow interchangeable in sometimes up to 3 options. And you can't magnetize all that. You can.
You could, but imagine me getting transports for my army. I go out, I buy 3 repulsors.
Yeah, first of all, that's
not like going out and buying 3 rhinos.
No. And that's a lot of painting, a lot of magnetizing. And a lot of points.
Yeah. Also, it still doesn't... I mean, it's not a Predator. It's not like, and here is my tank with the big gun. Nope. It's a transport with a ton of small guns and an option for a few kind of big ones.
Yeah. It's not a centerpiece,
No.
but it's 250 points. Thereabout.
287, I believe.
So it's 200. It's between 250 and 300.
Yeah. It's an expensive model too.
It's an expensive model too.
And it's a hover tank.
And then we get into the hover technology thing.
The Imperium doesn't have hover technology. Custodies, I'm looking at you.
Yeah, but in general, I think Primaris Marines, if they'd simply, I might have even felt better if they simply made Marines an update to 8th edition, where Marines could be bought as these larger models, and they were completely revamped.
That was what the design team wanted, actually.
Okay.
And then I have this from a wobbly source, but the design team came up with Mark 10 armor and bigger models and stuff like that. Yeah. And they were told, no, we're not scratching a whole line of Space Marines because that is the biggest line Games Workshop have.
I get that. I feel like it would have been the more solid option. But no, not more solid, more risk-taking, obviously. But also the more bold, more innovative, more new Games Workshop line to take. I get that you can't scrap Space Marines.
And also imagine the uproar, because most players have a Space Marine army.
Yeah.
And imagine being told that all those models were outdated.
Exactly. That's why I think...
But the result is still, they are kind of outdated.
Yeah.
Sure, there are still some cool units and stuff, but I wouldn't want to put my Ravenwing bikers next to Primaris, because they would look like kids on...
big bikes.
It's...
And that's a real shame, because imagine a Primaris army flanked by Deathwing Terminators and Ravenwing bikers.
Yeah.
From a tabletop standpoint, not from a lore-wise standpoint.
Yeah, it's like the Terminators are so small.
Yeah, but I'm talking tabletop efficiency.
Efficiency?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, forget the Deathwing. Just imagine the bikers and the...
Yeah, that would be lovely.
Instead of Inceptors, you had bikers.
Yeah, would make perfect good sense. Would be a lot of fun.
A lot of fun.
But I wouldn't do it due to the bikers looking so ridiculously small. Yeah. I wouldn't even just take some shooty tanks along with them, because the tanks looks too small.
Yeah. I'm trying to imagine rhinos next to Primaris Marines, and it's not that far off that they're equally tall.
Now I want to take a Mark 1 rhino and paint it up and put it next to my Primaris Marines.
It's just because you want infantry taller than your guns.
No, actually I just want to use it for roller skates.
Fair enough. And that is why I play Necrons, because they are the only ones with a transport where it's proven that they have the transport capacity. Because inside a Ghost Ark...
teleport.
No, because a Ghost Ark actually has 10 warriors inside.
And everything else is a teleport stuff.
And everything else is a teleport stuff. It makes sense. Though I would like to see 10 warriors stashed inside a Night Scythe, because they'll be lying like this.
Yeah, but 10 regular Marines in a Rhino is still ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. And that's the whole thing about balancing unit size, actual tabletop size, versus unit size and how big you make the models and stuff like that. Because, like, Ghost Arks are huge compared to Rhinos. Like, fuck huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. They have the same transport.
One just outside the frame.
They have the same transport capacity for same size guys.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird if you...
That's because it's a clunker. The Rhino is a clunker.
It definitely is.
I actually have an unassembled Mark 1 Rhino Now that's a clown car.
Yeah. But getting back to Primaris.
Yeah.
So, I would like to ask you, Gilliman.
I'm not Gilliman. Sorry.
No. I would like to ask you, Errant. Gilliman's take on Primaris Space Marines.
He prefers them to regular Space Marines.
Okay. Why does he prefer them? Does he say?
He wants to sell medals. No,
I'm not sure that's a law answer, but I'm not quite sure.
Based on Dark Imperium, that is my best answer, actually.
Okay.
No, he finds them more reliable, and he can relate to them because they're from 10,000 years ago, and they remember the Imperium he remembers.
Also, law-wise, does this mean that there are a lot of Marines out there who do not believe in the Emperor as God? Because if they're from 10,000 years ago, they don't believe in the Emperor as God.
Yeah, that would be... Oh, I'd like to read a novel about some Black Templar Primaris.
Yeah, we're like, what are you all about?
Yeah, that would be...
Because
actually, the Black Templars shouldn't be able to take Primaris.
No. But that is my question. Like, if they're from 10,000 years ago, they would definitely, law-wise, not believe in the Emperor as God. We're right about
the
this,
Flesh
right?
Terrors, Gabriel Seth, he just went, these reinforcements, they're Ultramarines in red armor.
Yeah.
That makes pretty good sense, but they take them. Dark Angels have their secrets and all, but since the Initiates have been through the trial back then been picked up by Balsorius Call, because somehow nobody noticed that thousands of recruits disappeared. I can see how they can indoctrinate them in their lower ranks.
Yep.
Ultramarines, no problem, but yeah, no.
No, but what I'm asking is the whole... Let's just focus on one point here.
Mm-hmm.
The Emperor as God.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're agreed that...
But already most non-fanatical Space Marine chapters are thinking of the Emperor. I mean, the Dark Angels, the Ultramarines, the Blood... They don't see him as a god already.
No, but they've had all their life to think of him as God, then they realize he's not God. But we need to keep quiet about this because most people view him as God. Yeah. Now take a lot of people from 10,000 years ago where thinking of a God was fucking bad mojo.
And Gilliman to back them up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, in the novel, it is a controversy, and there is a really cool dialogue between Gilliman and the priest.
Okay.
Where the priest is super cool and like, yeah, I have room in my heart for you, not believing in your father.
Okay.
Mr. Demigod.
Yeah. But the thing is, I'm just thinking of the power struggle it creates. Like,
yeah.
Between the general Imperium and the Primaris. Like, suddenly we have a large faction, not just one per planet.
So I think actually that's one of the things that bothers me low-wise. That there are so many of them.
Yeah.
Because...
That bugs me too.
First of all, how the hell could you hide it? Second of all, okay, so you take this army that you created. Yeah. You go on the Indomitus Crusade. With these green Marines, as in unexperienced Marines.
Yeah. Except they had 10,000 years of simulated combat.
Yeah, like Neo.
Yeah.
Still, they die.
Yeah.
You can't reinforce them because they're all been cooking for 10,000 years. So you actually have the same problem as with Space Marines, only bigger. You can't reinforce them. And in warfare, having a bulk of soldiers that you cannot reinforce is shit. I mean, the Indomitus Crusade is what, 200 years?
Yeah.
And then after that, he splits up and creates chapters and sends out reinforcements, and so I don't like that. I would have liked it much more if, say, this technology is now available.
Yeah.
And from now on, whenever Gilliman touches and fist bumps a chapter master,
Yeah.
he can say, "Here, have this notebook. Now you can make Primaris Marines."
Well, actually, no chapter ever has had the right to create successor chapters, but they can create more Space Marines. And
Have had the right. I mean, the Dark Angels created, specifically were told no by the High Lords of Terror and did it anyway a few times.
because they're bad boys.
No, because they don't believe that mere mortals should dictate stuff.
Yeah. But the Emperor isn't a god. And
Nope.
we're not super anything.
Although they just don't. But Gilliman is actually having the same thoughts that maybe it was a mistake to let mortals handle stuff.
Yeah. But that's also a point back from the whole heresy days that, or before the heresy days, where a big point about Ultramarines, they're not the best fighters.
No,
But they are the best at handling non-fighting stuff
Yeah.
of the Space Marines. They are the best leaders. They're the best administrators.
Yeah, there is. And Gilliman keeps saying that his dream was for Space Marines to also be good in times of peace.
Yeah.
And then he wakes up in the 41st millennium and he's like, maybe I'll just go with the Primaris guys.
Yeah. And I get that. However, the Primaris Marines, if we'll just make some rounding out comments on those. Great on the tabletop. Not so great in the lore.
Lovely models.
Lovely models. And I think we agree on that, pretty much.
I still kind of want to just call them my Space Marines and play them as my Space Marines because they feel Space Marine. I said that a million times.
Yeah. So, let's just agree on that.
Yeah. What I would like to know is viewers.
Yeah.
What do you think?
How do Primaris Marines fit into your personal lore, tabletop, all that stuff?
Yeah. Do you hate them? Do you love them? Do you not care? Or do you like to just mix and match? And what do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And other than that, go to bed. It's late.
also, take care and
Bye bye.
so, rowboat,
Girly man.
rowboat,
Girly man.
rowboat.
Girly man.